Hey, 42 here. We humans like to think of ourselves as the undisputed masters of planet Earth. We have arduously evolved over hundreds of thousands of years the advanced adaptations required to survive in a slightly warm living room. With the aid of advanced technology, our civilization has settled in every petrified pocket and withered wasteland on this wicked world. Except that's not entirely true. As of today, humans can be found in significantly less than 1% of all livable locations on Earth. At first, that might sound hard to believe. Aside from the tallest mountains, the hottest deserts, and that Brazilian island full of f***ing snakes, we've built permanent settlements pretty much everywhere, haven't we? Actually, not even close, for the simple reason that well over 99% of the planet's habitable space is found in the world's oceans. And, as of today, we've colonized precisely none of it. From our terra firma first perspective, it's easy to underestimate the sheer scale of the underwater world. There are over 1 billion cubic kilometers of water in Earth's combined oceans, and the Mariana Trench, the deepest point on the ocean floor, is a staggering 6.8 miles beneath the surface. Just saying that number, 6.8 miles, doesn't really give you a sense of just how far down we're talking here, so let's make a comparison. The world's tallest building, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, is almost twice the height of the Empire State Building. And yet, you could stack 13 Burj Khalifas, one on top of the other, in the Mariana Trench, and you still wouldn't break the surface. That, dear 42 viewer, is absolutely bloody mental. Now, I do a lot of work whilst traveling, and Surfshark VPN keeps me safe and private by covering up everything I do online when I'm out and about. But Surfshark VPN also lets you travel the world virtually by changing your virtual location. So you can check out websites and streaming services from all around the world that may be blocked in your home country. Surfshark has over 3,200 servers in over 100 countries, so anywhere you go, you'll find a server that fits your needs. And Surfshark VPN offers a multi-hop feature, so you can actually put 2 VPN servers between you and your online destination for even more privacy and security. I especially love Surfshark's IP rotator feature, which constantly changes your device's IP address without losing your VPN connection. Online security is so important, and it's really nice to know that with Surfshark VPN, I can, for example, access my online banking safely, even on public Wi-Fi. I'd never do that without a VPN. VPNs also keep your location and download history private, so you can send and receive files securely. Quite simply, Surfshark VPN is an essential tool, and by using the code 42, you'll benefit from an 83% discount plus 3 extra months for free. All you have to do is click the special link in the description below, so don't miss out. And thanks to Surfshark for sponsoring this video. Most of the ocean is significantly shallower than the Mariana Trench, but the global average depth is still a healthy 2.3 miles, and pretty much all of that space is habitable. Considering its sheer size, it should come as no surprise that the ocean is home to some 78% of Earth's total animal biomass. Near the surface, that biomass comes in the form of animals that are fairly familiar. Whales, sharks, brightly coloured fish, sexy mermaids, that sort of thing. But dive a little deeper, and a deluge of disturbing creatures awaits. At 400 meters, you'll meet the monstrous goblin shark, whose extendable jaw can be catapulted forward to engulf unsuspecting prey. Descend further to around 1,000 meters, and a humorous respite awaits you in the form of the blobfish, multiple winner of the Ugliest Animal Alive award. That's actually a thing, by the way. Sink further still into the shadowy depths to 2,000 meters below, and you'll encounter the ghastly gulper eel, a creature that brings new meaning to the phrase, all mouth and no trousers. But it isn't just weird fish you'll find in this watery abyss. Nature's wettest workshop also breeds giants. From the Kraken to Jormungand, we've been telling stories of sea monsters for thousands of years. And perhaps there's good reason for that, because thanks to a phenomenon known as deep-sea gigantism, many creatures that have evolved to live in the darkest ocean depths are significantly larger than similar species found in the shallows. Probably the most famous example of deep-sea gigantism is the giant squid, reaching a maximum length of 13 meters and weighing in at over 250 kilograms. This substantial cephalopod is literally hundreds of times larger than many of its shallow water cousins. The giant squid is a genuine monster of the deep, but it turns out this great giant has a great big brother, a much bigger brother, the aptly named colossal squid. Weighing as much as 3 times more than the already enormous giant squid, the colossal squid is the largest invertebrate on planet Earth, with eyes the size of basketballs and hooked suckers capable of leaving sperm whales with permanent scars. But if that doesn't freak you out, here's a subsurface specimen that'll give you mental scars. This little critter is a giant isopod. If it looks strangely familiar, that's probably because it's closely related to the humble woodlouse. A well-fed woodlouse is about 1 centimeter long and weighs less than a gram soaking wet. The giant isopod, on the other hand, can grow close to 0.5 meter and weighs almost 2 kilograms. Everywhere we look in the deepest, darkest depths of the ocean, we see a similar story. Familiar-looking animals that have been mysteriously dino-sized, like the Japanese spider crab with a leg span of up to 4 meters, and the giant oarfish, sometimes known as the king of herrings, which can reach a maximum length of around 11 meters. 11 meters! It's like God turned up to work drunk on the 5th day and made a bunch of rounding errors. So just what the hell is going on here? What's causing deep-sea species to grow so freakishly large? The truth is, we aren't actually 100% sure. As you're probably already aware, we know surprisingly little about the ocean floor. In fact, up until 2019, more people had walked on the surface of the moon than had visited the deepest part of the Mariana Trench, Challenger Deep. The sheer remoteness of deep ocean environments makes them and the creatures that live there incredibly difficult to study. Take the colossal squid as a prime example. As long as a London bus and weighing more than a fully grown polar bear, you'd think it'd be pretty bloody hard to miss. And yet, with all our fancy technology and remotely operated submersibles, not a single colossal squid has ever been observed in its natural habitat. Not one. And since we never get to bag ourselves one of these beasties, research into the causes of deep-sea gigantism has proved rather difficult. But we do have some surprising theories. The first is that food scarcity is the primary cause. The idea that a lack of food could somehow stimulate the evolution of larger animals might sound like nonsense. Surely the opposite would happen, right? But to dive a little deeper into the science, and this apparent contradiction starts to make a lot of sense. Unlike almost every other ecosystem on the planet, the ocean depths have close to zero food production of their own. No light means no photosynthesis, and no photosynthesis means no phytoplankton, which is the main producer of food near the surface. As a result, the primary food source in the deep sea is so-called marine snow. A deep ocean delicacy, marine snow is basically a mix of dead animals, decaying phytoplankton, and a whole load of fish shit that slowly drifts into the abyss from the shallow waters above. Sounds delicious. Marine snow, supplemented by the carcasses of larger animals, is consumed as it falls, meaning the deeper you get, the less there is to go around. That makes food on the ocean bottom both scarce and unpredictable. There isn't a great deal of it, and you never know where the juiciest morsels will land. For a bottom-dwelling scavenger like the giant isopod, being bigger means it can cover longer distances more quickly, increasing its foraging radius and improving its chances of being the first on the scene when food does drift so deliciously downwards. Larger animals are also able to store more food than smaller ones, helping them to survive long periods without sustenance. Many deep-sea creatures have evolved extendable stomachs that allow them to take in the maximum amount of food possible on the rare occasions a solid meal presents itself. The results can be surprising. A giant isopod with the catchy nickname Giant Isopod 1 once went 5 years without eating a single thing, presumably in protest at its imprisonment in the Toba Aquarium in Japan. 5 years without food is undeniably supermodel tier dieting, but these long fasts are made possible by another benefit of increased size, a more efficient metabolism. According to Kleiber's law, an animal's metabolic rate scales to the 3/4 power of its mass. To translate that into normal person English, larger animals need less energy per unit of mass than smaller ones. A mouse, for example, needs to eat up to 20% of its body weight every single day to survive, whereas an elephant only needs to consume 4 or 5% of its body weight. In other words, larger animals use energy more efficiently, and that is a massive bonus in an environment where food is scarce. Now, the other theory as to why creatures of the deep grow so big is related to temperature. Because cold water is denser and therefore heavier than warm water, it sinks, and that means deep-sea environments are extremely cold. Frigid temperatures inhibit the speed of metabolic processes, decreasing the amount of food and oxygen required to sustain life. A slower metabolism is also thought to be part of the reason many deep-sea creatures grow slower and live longer than similar species in shallower waters. As an extreme example, recent research suggests that the bottom-dwelling Greenland shark may be able to live to well over 500 years old, making it the longest-living vertebrate ever discovered. Just think about that for a second. There may be a Greenland shark swimming around today that was alive when Leonardo da Vinci painted the Mona Lisa in the early 16th century. The idea that lower temperatures play a role in deep-sea gigantism is backed up by the fact that we also see something called polar gigantism, a tendency for species that live in frigid waters of the Arctic and Southern Oceans to exhibit gigantism, even in shallow waters. Sea spiders are a great example. In most parts of the world, sea spiders are relatively tiny, thankfully, from a few millimeters to a couple of centimeters across. The Antarctic sea spider, on the other hand, has a nightmare-inducing 70-centimeter leg span, easily big enough to latch onto your face and inject thousands of babies directly down your throat. Similar massive increases in body size can be seen in polar sponges, worms, starfish, and even single-celled organisms. Okay, so we've got the food scarcity theory and the temperature theory, but there's also a far simpler reason deep-sea species have evolved to get so big. There are significantly fewer predators down there. That's allowed Mother Nature to be a little bolder with the body sizes of species that might traditionally stay small to attract less attention from things that might want to eat them. The truth is, there's probably no single unifying explanation for deep-sea gigantism, and different variables will play a bigger role in some species than others. It's also worth pointing out that plenty of abyssal creatures exhibit the exact opposite effect, deep-sea dwarfism, which is a clear indicator that this little puzzle is unlikely to have a simple answer. Ultimately, the deep ocean is a chance to see how life somehow finds a way in one of the most inhospitable environments on planet Earth. Thanks for watching.